Hey, everybody. My name is Jerry Williams, aka Greater Sapien. Welcome to the Greater Apes podcast. I'm here with my partner, Jesse Vale. Hey.
Hey.
How's it going today?
Well, it's going pretty good, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, my cat's going to be a whole part of the show. I can already tell.
Okay. Well, we're going to get straight into WandaVision. We have as we always do, we've already had like an hour's worth of conversation before getting to this here. But we know you folks want to get straight to the nerdy stuff. There's an actual pretty nerdy conversation that we're going to tack on the back end, all about like, comic art and stuff like that. But we're going to get right into the WandaVision episode 8. Yes, episode 8. What was it called again?
Previously on.
We did the live view watch party the other day. Fun times. Have you watched it again since?
I haven't. Normally I would have at this point, but I just totally forgot. Yeah.
Okay. I watched it again, and yeah. The first thing is when I think about it, it's like, okay, what did we learn? Now it's always a what did we learn part with all of these. And we have to, when we think about what we learn, it's like, okay, what were our preconceived notions beforehand? We had a whole bunch of preconceived notions
going into it. And I think it's brilliant.
And
that we got
almost
duped.
None of them. I'm loving that. So
for instance,
example,
top of the one, the mailman is just the mailman.
Okay, mailman's just a mailman. That's at the top. I find that's funny. The top of the, when you said top of the one, I said, oh, the top of mine is that Agatha appears to be doing this on her own.
Mm-hmm.
That was the top of mine. Yours is the mailman. Okay.
Well, just to like throw it out there and just get it done. It's just like the mailman is.
Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of those that just seem to be just like duds. They're like dead ends. They didn't seem to go anywhere. And maybe I haven't been, I don't know if you've been looking at the blogs, the vlogs, people on YouTube or anything like that, what they're saying about it.
No, I didn't have a chance to look at any of that stuff. Normally I would by this point, but yesterday I got distracted by more nerdy stuff. So
right. It happens.
I just totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't either. I have to take a look because I'm curious as to how people are backpedaling and re-seeing things from what they were before. Cause I can right now, you said it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. What was done, the only way I can think of it is judo against fans. They took the natural tendency of fans to do certain things and used it against them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like took our fan momentum, took our fan momentum and just threw us with it. Mm-hmm. It's like we have this tendency. It's like we fill in the holes. It's like we leave all these things out there and fans are going to start tying these threads together. It's like the witness protection guy.
No effing idea. It's just,
and it probably doesn't matter.
I mean, it wouldn't it be hilarious if they never mentioned it again?
Yeah.
That it may have just been the reason he was alerted to this situation. That
could just be straight truth. It's just a fact. He was just alerted because he had a witness protection there.
Mm-hmm. And it's not only that they just put a scatter shot out there and just fed us. Because that's one thing, because they put a lot of things out there. They made things look interesting, and then we jumped on them. If you look back at our videos, we jumped on them. But the one thing that I found was most brilliant, and I thought about this after the last episode, but just to reiterate, they gave us what we wanted when it concerned Agnes.
Yes.
We were like, oh, well, she's Agatha. Oh, well, she's Agatha. I mean, I think, I know in the early part of this, you were just like, well, I don't know, because you like to be fooled.
Well, and just in terms of them doing this, I was totally not on the Mephisto train. I was like, I'm not feeling it. But as time went on, they just kept laying things out there that it's like, you know what? It might be somebody bigger. It might be Nightmare. It might be this. And I wasn't getting that from the video blogs and things like that. It's just like, I'm seeing it. I'm like, you know what? It could be. And so it started turning me on that. And that's why I said, okay, well, maybe it's Loki. That's where my whole Loki theory came from. Because I was still looking to fill it. There was a still need to fill it. And it's like, they did that to me, or I allowed them to do that to me, which is great. It's like, hey,
I think it's wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah. And that they just gave us enough that we thought like, okay, we've solved that one. Then the only thing we asked about her at this point, and this is what's brilliant about it, the only thing we asked about that character is, how is she helping? That's all we wanted to know.
Right.
Because that character is known, I think, even to people who don't know anything about, that just have the base knowledge, that if someone was to just sort of say, well, like I said to my roommate, well, who is this? I said, well, she's a witch, and she is a babysitter to a lot of superhero kids, and she has helped Wanda in the past. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're all just like, okay, well, now we know it's her. How is she going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's and we didn't ask any other questions.
Yeah, and what's funny is this was kind of low on my list to mention, but since you kind of touched on it there, what I find interesting is how we can be a little bit of right about things in the weirdest ways. Because at least for me, I remember when we were trying to think of, okay, what could Agatha be? Well, how could she be part of this? How could she be helping this and that? And I remember saying, it's probably on a recording, it was one of our conversations, that it's like, well, maybe Agatha lived in this town and she was there for therapy or something like that. And what I find hilarious, and I didn't mention this as I was watching it with you, but when I watched it again, Agatha was being her therapist last episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was totally being her therapist.
Yeah, my roommate pointed out that she goes, well, you know what? Agatha did help her.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
She was totally working her through it. And I was like, yeah, in a way, still kind of right. But not the way we thought. They're using,
but still in a mentor sort of situation.
Yeah, still in a mentor situation, a helping situation, but not for the reasons we thought. So I thought that was brilliant. So that's what I mean by, like, it's kind of judo against fans. It's using fans' tendency against them. It's like, oh, like there was no reason to have little hexagons everywhere.
Nope. It was just a style decision.
But it was not just a style. It was a style that would cause people to look into it and see something. It's like, why does he have all the stuff on his wall or in a hexagon shape? Why is his floor in a hexagon shape? It's like all these little things.
There's one that there's one that I don't, and I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to actually call him out, but there's somebody that I like to watch a lot, and he can make some assumptions sometimes, very fast talker and so on and so forth. But one of the ones that was not long ago, remember the scene where she's in bed and the boys come in and she's like, closing my eyes.
Oh, right. The whole Modern Family, everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
When she pulled back the covers to reveal that she was still in the costume, this guy immediately went for, are you ready for this? Because you'll go back and you'll look and you'll be like, what? That is like pulling a string that's barely there. The pillow that her head is on.
Oh.
Has does somebody else do this? Has paisleys on it, and when you look at the paisleys, they look like a mean eye above. They look like mean eyes above her.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, all right, and still, yes, maybe, but that's not why.
Well, yeah, but also you've done it. I know you've done enough set work that
you'd hide things
that or you're doing something as you're doing it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna turn it this way.
Yeah.
Because it'll look like eyes. It's like, you just put it there and you're like, you look at the one side, you look at the other side and go, oh, I'm going to use this side because on this side, the paisleys that's funny. Yeah, I'm going to stick that right there. The other side is just one paisley looking like this. It looks like a freaking comma or something. And people are going to be like, oh, is she in a coma? It's like a comma.
It's a comma. She's in a coma. Oh my God. I bet you. Oh God. In that timeline, we are laughing so hard right now.
So yeah. So because things don't happen by accident that much, but sometimes they're happy accidents and they decide to leave them. And they see them. And so, yeah.
And again, when it comes to like set design and, and just design total on this, the numbers were something they fed us and people loved to go after them. It gave them something to do. And sometimes they probably did reference certain certain books by their numbers, which just sort of and anyone that I saw that was referenced, it was just like, oh yeah, it's a WandaVision story. That's pretty much it.
Right.
None of the plot points of that were necessarily part of that episode.
The one that was like, it shares an ISBN number with some young Avengers. Like, stop it, just stop it. You're stretching. You dislocated your shoulder. You were stretching so far. Stop it.
And I'm not going to go off topic here, but I need to put a pin in this, which is why you need to watch The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It is amazing on that level, because internet sleuths went after it. On that level, it gets funnier and funnier, and even you will go, what, in a different way than you're expecting. So anyways, we'll go back on that. I actually want you to watch that, and then we'll talk about it, because it's actually
there's going to be a hole in our discussions. Let's see, because next week is obviously going to be the finale of WandaVision. We'll discuss that. The week after that, I'm figuring it's the hole between the next
2 weeks
Marvel series. Right? Yeah.
And the 2 weeks in between.
Right. So there's a hole where there's no Marvel series and nothing really new. So I figure we're going to recap. We're going to recap the Zack Snyder verse.
Oh yeah.
Because the following week, both
we should.
Justice League and Falcon and Winter Soldier come out.
Okay.
Justice League's a 4-hour epic, and kept, Falcon and Winter Soldier is a series. So I'm thinking during that dead week, we will discuss Man of Steel, Batman v Superman.
Do you mean I have to watch them again?
Yes, I'm going to watch them again. And the original Batman v Superman, and then Justice League. Maybe even freaking Suicide Squad if we have to, but
nope.
Watch the nope.
Hard nope.
But
because I know why, because it would be so that we could touch on the Joker. But in my brain,
that, and also the fact that Batman is in that one. And I thought he was terribly used. And that's all part of the Snyderverse. So we're going to talk about that. And then I don't know how we're going to deal with Justice League, the Snyder version, because that's so huge. That's going to have to be like a separate thing altogether.
It's going to have to be. Yeah. The thing's 4 hours long.
The thing's 4 hours long.
We talk an hour and a half about a show that's a half hour long.
Right.
So strap in, folks. That we enjoy and are making compliments of. When we walk out of a movie that we hate, I mean, we used to have craptacular movie fest.
May not come home.
What was the movie that Robin hated so much?
That was Godzilla.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't have to look. I didn't have to search for that one. That was Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my god. The one. Oh god.
With the Matthew Broderick one.
Matthew Broderick one. Yeah. Oh god. And my review of that is in one sentence. It was like watching somebody play a video game. That's it.
That was worse at the video game than you are.
That is worse at the video game than you are. Correct. that you're trying to go, no, go left. Wait, no, you're not getting the coins. Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's the
Lord.
It's like,
all right.
Yeah.
So we did go off.
Yeah. So back to WandaVision. So there were so many things that were duds, just that went nowhere. So Pietro,
I wouldn't even call them duds.
Well, yeah,
I think they're
dud
nuggets.
Theories.
They're gold. Yeah.
The theories
they're like
duds.
little nuggets that are just like you can't chew on them. They exist.
They're theories that we in the nerdosphere ran with, and they went nowhere. It's not on the part of the showrunners. It's not their dud.
No.
It's the theories on this end, on the fan end. So like,
no,
Pietro,
it's their win. It's their win.
Yeah. Oh, it's their win. It's like I'm sure Disney is probably like, why don't we have freaking ads on these things? Because you know how many times these people have rewatched these episodes.
Mm-hmm. They'll institute a new thing and just be like, when the first time you watch, no ads.
Right.
Second time,
little cookie on there. First time you watch, no ads.
Yeah, no ads. Second time, couple ads.
Yeah.
When you're watching it for the 17th time, it's mostly ads.
Every time you hit pause, he's gonna
anytime you hit pause. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because the rewatches are insane. You have to. It's all there. There's just all sorts of stuff in there. Witness protection dude that I was really hoping was somebody that was important. Doesn't seem to be anything. Doesn't seem to be.
And we could be wrong still.
We could still be
wrong.
They
could pull that out right at the end.
There was this whole idea that the mailman was somebody, like you were saying. I fell off of that one when I rewatched the Agatha All the Time episode, All Along episode, because people were thinking, oh, he stopped and he watched, and then after they left, he walked away relieved. I rewatched it. Everyone in the neighborhood stopped and watched, and everyone in the neighborhood went back to what they were doing. So it's like, it wasn't something special. Ralph, who's Ralph?
I have no idea who Ralph
Doesn't matter. She's just making it up.
She's just making it up.
Of course there's a Ralph, because of course, it's a husband you're never going to see.
Well, yeah, she's buying into the conceit of the entire show.
And so she's
made the nosy neighbor
that you're never going to see because he doesn't exist. And so she's going to come up with this thing.
And frankly, you kind of want it to be that. If there was a Ralph, then you'd be like, well, you never see that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. You know what would be funny is if you did see another being with her, but you couldn't tell what it was, because you know how they'll throw that in. You'll see his arm as he walks through a door.
Right.
And she goes, Ralph.
Oh, speaking
here.
of which, I saw what did I see? I saw somebody. It was probably the same guy that you were complaining about. That was when Pietro showed up. They were saying that in the reflection in the mirror behind Wanda, there was a clawed arm.
I did not see that. I don't think that was.
There was there's a shot of her, when he first shows up, and they just show her going like this, and then they show him, hey, can't get a hug from your sister. Yeah. And then they cut back to her. You see, they're at an angle, so you see her in the back of her in the reflection, but not all of the door. And there's just like, an amorphous shape, whatever. It's just, just lights, light and stuff.
So it's the ghost in 3 Men and a Baby.
Someone hit contrast on it. And so it looks like this clawed hand or something. It's like, oh, awesome. Good for you. You watched the thing a whole bunch of times and
then you spend some time
got their eyeballs, your eyeballs for extra time on there.
Yeah.
The kids, we were under the impression that it was like, okay, maybe she encouraged her to have these kids. So to put the soul of Mephisto in there or something like that, something more connected to the comic way of doing things. I get no impression of that whatsoever. It's like, no, these are your weird, magically created kids that you did with your insane power that you're not supposed to have because you're really dangerous.
That was a question I had, because she has all this power and she's not supposed to have it. And they named it. Is it named in the comic books? I know that she's a Nexus being, but is the Nexus being called the Scarlet Witch?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. Because here's
Scarlet Witch was just a name she came up with because she was coming up with a name because she was a bad guy when she was Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Okay, right. So the thing that Agatha just did, saying like, you are the Scarlet Witch. Dun, dun, dun. Here's what's funny about that to me. This is a misstep on their part. A funny one, and nothing to detract from this whatsoever. So she had this mystery to solve in this past episode. She did all this interviewing. She showed her past. She did the whole Christmas ghost stuff. And then she's like, I knew it. Or you're not supposed to exist. You're the Scarlet Witch. Her magic is red, Jerry. She could have just watched her. Oh, her magic is red. She might be the Scarlet Witch.
but she
Not
had to go,
might,
she had to go through she had to go through the trials. She had to test her. And
just to make double sure.
And that's what a lot of this ends up. We see this, we look at it through the lens of what we know now. So much of what was happening, what Agatha was doing, was pushing to kind of suss out who she was, and what it was like. It's like, okay, we're gonna mess this thing up, and we're gonna see how she deals with it. She comes in and she gives her all this food for the meal, and she probably did a little something on her way out to make things go a little crazy. So then let's see how she deals with it. Maybe I can figure out how she's using her power. Maybe she'll manifest whoever she really is in order to fix it, because right now this is obviously not her. It's her make believing something. So we'll test her out and see if she reveals who she really is. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, she just changed the whole world again. Now she's a whole different thing. Okay, let's do this to her. Let's see if it affects her in any way. Let's mess up her little magic show. Let's do a little thing here and see if how she deals with that caper, and see if she manifests her power differently. And maybe I can figure out how she's doing it.
Right.
And then she just had to be straightforward and like, how did you do it?
Right.
Bring her brother in there. How did you? Hey, how's it going, Bear?
All right. Just gonna let it happen.
So a lot of the stuff that was happening was just, Agatha, in basically putting her through a series of like trials and tests just to figure out who she is.
And then to jump back just a little bit, I still don't trust that we know Agnes. I mean, I know that they showed her do an evil thing in the beginning to her coven. So it's kind of established that she's evil. She's admitted to killing a dog, and you can't come back from that.
Right. And she obviously she was extra working in dark magics, though she wasn't necessarily evil back at the time. She was obviously, messing with magics beyond what she was supposed to be doing. She's a curious person. She's trying to increase her power or whatever.
Well, do you think, okay, because there's always a chance, and I'm not actually making conjecture here. I don't think this is the case, but I'm just saying, like, considering the things that they're doing, it could be that she's learned the error of her ways, and now she is trying to be helpful. I mean, I know we left with her hurting the kids, but is she doing that to get Wanda to do something that's good for her? I don't think so. I'm just saying,
or maybe not good for her, but yes, it's always possible. And I think where you might be going with it is that, Agatha is evil in the classic sense of, she's doing things that are necessarily, for her own self-interest and destructive to the world in general. She's, manipulating nature and things that are probably not good for things. But Wanda is something that is dangerous.
Right. To everyone.
Agatha doesn't consider herself dangerous.
Right.
She's in full control of what she's doing.
So it's not like she's trying to help humanity. She's just trying to make sure that the reality stays.
That is something that shouldn't happen. That what you're doing right there, just accidentally rewriting stuff. No. You are acting above your station. You are working with powers beyond, and you're
acting above your station is what really came across. That's kind of what came across, is she's pissed off and wants that power, which is kind of what we're expecting here, which is making me think that maybe I should. Now I don't trust shit. You snuck up on me. Every time I walk into a damn room, you jump at me, and now every time I walk through a door, are you
talking to your cat now?
Right. Exactly. He's being so silly right now.
Every time I come into a room, you jump at me.
You can't eat those, dude. No, stop it. What is it with cats and earphones, man? I don't know. Anyways. I don't trust it. Yeah, I don't trust it. And that's fine with me, as long as I have that feeling in me. Okay, anything could happen. Just beware of anything. You don't know shit. You think you know shit, you don't know shit. Still, Don't assume
and
that
that's one
because
thing
we're
I've
at the end that you know anything.
I like being wrong in a good way. I don't like being wrong in a bad way. It's like, I hope it's going to work out this way. Oh, they did a terrible job. Damn it, I was wrong. They did a terrible job.
I don't think
But
that's going to happen. I think it's going to be very rewarding.
This is the kind of wrong I like, and I like seeing fandom wrong in this way.
Because it's funny to watch.
Because it's fun. I mean,
there's
man,
a Schadenfreude. We've
people
been
are
there.
so sure. Yeah, and that's why I try to avoid being sure. Because then disappointment comes when you're sure about something, you just assume it's going to be, and then all of a sudden you're mad because they didn't do it the right way. They didn't do it the way you wanted them to.
And it's almost a trope.
Yeah,
we kind of actually talked about this a little bit in the conversation that we're going to tag on the end here, which was when we talked about how comics at one point were aimed at prepubescent boys, and that eventually when comics started to change, they didn't like it because that they felt ownership over it because they knew the thing, right? And it's almost a trope. A bunch of nerds saying that, making statements of fact,
right,
and arguing. So, and I'm not saying anything bad towards that. Yeah, I'm not. I am, because I think it's pompous, but it happens. I've done it. Right. Where you just make a statement, you're arguing with somebody about something nerdy. I often think of Stephen Colbert and I having a heated discussion about the Silmarillion, and that would be a bucket list item. Really. So
a couple things. So her being a Nexus being is only thing that's really touched on from what I remember, and you probably would know a little bit more since you just recently did a whole recap of Scarlet Witch's life through Comics Explained. Her being a Nexus being just basically means is an explanation of why there is so much power going through her. Her being, there being a being that exists in all these different universes,
which means all universes can flow through that Nexus.
Yeah,
that's essentially.
So that's why she's got that much power.
Right. So speaking of which, now if we make the assumption that Agatha is a bad guy, just period, isn't trying to help in any way, just trying to figure stuff out, or helping in terms of protecting the universe for her own selfish purposes.
It doesn't necessarily, she doesn't have to have been doing this stuff for evil purposes. Like I said, she was just going along, and all of a sudden she felt all these spells happening at once and was like, what? And was drawn there, and then said, hey, I'm just going to go in and check this thing out. There's not like a malicious focus to that. It's just like
but here's the malicious focus.
You hear this awesome music going on, and you just come down the street and you're like, what the hell? Yeah, let's see what's going on. And then you get in it and you're like, oh, I can make use of this.
Right. So that's the thing that I'm wondering. They showed her pulling energy from her coven when obviously she shouldn't have been able to do that. Otherwise, why would her coven shoot blue light at her? Right. It was all a surprise to them. Do you think she's going to try to feed on this?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm assuming what they were trying to do was maybe take her magic from her, and then she ended up taking their, from them or whatever. And it's probably no connection, but again, nerds, some reason the when all that purple energy was going on and everything was happening during that coven, it really kind of made me think of Dormammu. Again, so part of me was still like, you know what, she was very much like a young Scarlet Witch, in that she was, when they were saying you're doing all these magic, and she's like, I wasn't trying. I didn't have any control over this, all this kind of stuff. So obviously somehow she was just tapping into stuff naturally. But Dormammu was a dark sorcerer and used human avatars and all sorts of stuff. So I was like, part of me was like, was maybe
could be. Well, there's a precedence for that, because he was in the last Doctor Strange movie, and this is not a character that can be beaten. He can be thwarted.
Thwarted.
So maybe it's because that's an established character.
Or maybe
sure, why
nothing.
not?
Yeah, or maybe it's nothing. That just maybe
it's nothing. I think it's probably nothing, but there might be a reveal in terms of where she's garnering her power
Well, yeah, I
But
think
I don't
that's where.
think it'll be at the bidding of anybody. I think it'll
No,
be
I
this
think
is
yeah,
where she's pulling her power.
yeah, and I think the whole Nexus being thing is going to be the link to the whole multiverse. So when she got her power, so that's so interesting backstory that we learned is that we were always under the impression, because we just filled in them holes ourselves, that when they hooked up with Hydra was doing experiments on them with, and manipulating them with the Mind Stone.
Mhm.
Right? It was like, oh, okay, so they're strapped to a table and they're shooting beams from the Mind Stone at them, and doing something. But like, no, they were basically doing like a Terrigen Mist type of thing. Walk up and touch it.
Right. Or just be in the same room as it.
Be in the same room with it. Because everyone else that was messing with it before had some type of power. So it was like having everyone had to like handle it extra carefully. So yeah, be in the same room with it.
There was a funny moment there that was not intentional. I mean, here are these two, obviously evil scientists.
Yes.
You know what I'm about to say, right?
Yeah.
And that one is talking about, but everybody's died so far. And the other one rushes to turn down the volume. You don't give a fuck if she knows she's going to die.
Yeah.
There's no choice in the matter. She's in the room already.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was just really funny to me.
Yeah, it was funny because they could have had the same thing and literally had them not care about the fact that she heard. She could have said, please state your name and then handle the thing and
thank and evoke your god if you have one.
Yeah, exactly. And then the then evil scientist number one says, do you think this one will survive? None of the other ones have. And the first one goes, walk up and touch it, just right, just let her hear it, have her go, what? Move, walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she walks up to it, and then there's a whole interaction that it has with her that is not like them applying tests to her, manipulating her in any way. It was the Mind Stone was drawn to her and opened itself up, and then obviously closed itself back up. And then we see a vision of her, full power, whatever, kind of very Phoenix Force looking. That to me, and I'm going to say the word obvious, even though nothing is obvious in this show. Obviously, that was like something that was not taking place in this universe.
Okay.
It's because one, it didn't record. No time passed for the people watching. They're just like, there she is, she's up there. So that existed outside of regular time or whatever. And is that a point where there's a crossing of universe? Is that where the multiverse crossover happens? And different versions of herself in the universe, merge with her. And she, it's like, she's a last link. She's a link to the Nexus that isn't linked up yet. Okay, let's link her up. Think she's linked up to her other selves. So is that
there you are.
Yeah. Is that there the crossover between the universes? Because for me, it's like, okay, that happened outside of this universe, because they're like, hey, what happened? Nothing. No time passed. She's just on the ground. So that was interesting.
Yeah. So there was something I was gonna
and what they also didn't say is what happened with Pietro.
Right.
He got powers too.
He did.
So okay, so is there something that's innate? So this is where I get back to maybe there's the whole mutant thing or something. It's like there's something innate in her. They were kind of alluding that she already had some power. Maybe she did a little probability hex possibly to keep that bomb from blowing up, and without even knowing she was doing it. Yeah. And
I like that part because that's just like a little touchback to what her original powers were.
Right. Yeah, it's a touchback to her original mutant power was. Right?
Mutant power. Right.
And so but that interaction doesn't explain Pietro. It doesn't explain Quicksilver, unless there's somehow some innate, power there that was just unlocked by it, Terrigen style. Oh. Interesting.
Yeah, there was something I was going to bring up here. I know that I'm going to remember this part because it's a giant story arc item. So is there anything that was on your list? Because remember, I don't have one.
Oh, okay. You did have a list of it. Anything came up. I like the fact that they set up her name like in episode four or five, because they specifically had
Wanda's
Hayworth say when they were doing the breakdown of her, I think it was episode 4, like given the history of her, he said, does she have a special code name or nickname or anything like that? And he said, no, she doesn't, because we know her as the Scarlet Witch,
but they don't.
But she has never been the Scarlet Witch in the MCU.
Right.
And so they needed to lay that groundwork again for us. Mm-hmm. Because when they did that later on, we wouldn't go, well, duh, she's a Scarlet Witch, duh. Right. So they, I thought that was a smart little thing that they did early on, just to remind us there. Did you have anything? Because we haven't talked about Hayworth and what he did with Vision.
Well, let's talk about him. Yeah. So that was an interesting thing that we made all kinds of assumptions about ourselves.
Right.
And we made the same assumptions that the other team members did because we were shown the same bit of video.
Right. So we were right, but we were wrong. Like, it was, for example, it's like, we were sure. It's like, you know what? We don't trust him. Obviously, he was trying to make a weapon out of Vision. He was trying to do something. He was desecrating his body. So Wanda must have just broken in there to just insulted that what they were doing to Vision and said, no, give him to me. You can't do this. It's like, obviously she was grief stricken, saw what they were doing and took his body back. Mm-hmm. That's, nope. He just straight lied. It's like, she went in there, saw it, said, yeah, he's gone. Okay. I'm going to move on. I'm going to try to move on.
Right.
And he just straight lied. We were under the impression that she was animating his dead body.
Yep.
This entire time. Nope. And no, she just created a new one. From
this is a thing that happens a lot in, I guess mostly in superhero films. That is always jarring to me when I see it, and it happens often. And that is unpowered individuals doing stupid things in front of powered individuals. So there's two of them here. Hayworth. That's some balls, dude. How what she can do? I mean, not what we know now, but that she went against friggin' Thanos, and you're going to put her in a position where she's going to get upset. Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah. Now, part of me thought,
yeah,
and still thinks that he was hoping she would turn his body back on.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, there he is. I wanted you to see. It's like, why would you want her to say, oh, that's why you wanted. It's like, also, I'm like, part of me thinks they weren't even doing anything with the body at the time. And they were having her wait so they could bring the body out and start pulling it apart again. Cause they said they had taken it apart, put it back together several times before. And I'm like, so it's like, was she waiting? Because what they were doing was just like fucking the body up.
Yeah.
They weren't even, they were just like,
no. Yeah. Here, let's put some scars on him. Right. But seriously though, okay. I know why they wrote it this way, because then the people's faces responsible or participating are in the shot. Right. But if I were that guy and I was going to try to get Vision reanimated by the person who's grief-stricken at his death, and I set up that whole situation, and she comes and she says, I want in, and then a phone call, and it's like 2 lefts and a right. Get everybody out of there. 2 lefts and a right. Done. Get her in the room. Be far, far away.
Yeah.
This is what escape hatches are for. Oh, she's here? prep my escape hatch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
in the
because
pod.
I don't want to be anywhere near this. Right?
Down the tube.
What's the contingency when she arrives? Okay, well, we have to have the body in this form, semi-connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then under harsh lights, and you don't even have to tell the scientists that they're about to die. Just say, go through situation 4, would you please? Are you sure, sir? Yeah, situation 4, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, mar the body. Right? I don't know why. I don't know.
Prep the desecration sequence.
Yeah. Desecration sequence 4 and go. Prep my escape pod.
It's like, and go. Okay. Zip.
Exactly. Yeah, but I understand why for story reasons. There's lots of things you don't really do.
That's one stupid thing that unpowered people do around powered people. The second one
is Agatha.
What's this? Yeah. Oh, Agatha. Yeah.
It's Agatha. Because and again, it's because the story has to move forward. Right? If that protection spell thing is absolute, and you just keep the boys in there and you stay in there, that would be what would happen in real life if this were a thing.
Right.
Why on earth would you go out of the place you are protected and go against something that you now know is ridiculously power, can create life, and therefore can probably end it, and you're going to go out there and you're going to throw cords around the necks of her children and just stand there? No, but it has to happen because the story has to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Unless it is that she wants her to shoot her with a red light and she's going to try to absorb it.
Right.
Which I think that seems kind of where they're going. I don't know because I don't trust them now.
Right.
But if that is what's going to happen, what's going to happen to Agatha?
Yeah. Is there going to be some mystic jail that Doctor Strange puts her in,
or I mean, this is Catherine Hahn?
Yeah. Catherine Hahn.
This is Catherine Hahn, man. Keep her
around. That's what I'm saying. Put her in some mystic jail so she can be a threat later
or make
on.
her super, super powerful, and then she cackles and flies away. I mean, to come back at a later date. She got what she wanted. Mm-hmm. A lot of power, right?
Or at least, I don't know if they're gonna have to. Are they gonna depower Wanda to a certain degree on this? So if they don't depower her, then does she get her power? Any other power? So, or does she go to Doctor Strange and say, okay, you don't just have weird telekinetic powers. You've got magic power, and you need to come with me to study because we need to make sure.
So that's why. So there's an argument for depowering Wanda.
Yeah, or at least training her so she doesn't get. That's what she's going to go to Doctor Strange to get trained and like, hey, look, I'm going to teach you. Doctor X, Professor X style. You got to come hang with me. Got to show you how to use your power so you can be safe.
Right. Okay, so then here, this kind of fulfills a bunch of different things. This is complete conjecture. I actually don't know or even think that it's going to go this direction. I'm just spitballing here. Making Agatha absorb energy and then using it herself to break the multiverses.
Yeah.
For Dormammu.
Or just.
But that's where you can tie in that.
You can also just have your classic. It's like, you asked for this power, and guess what? You can't control it, and you just messed everything up. It's always, they always have the person that's like, he absorbs power, and it's like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
Right.
And then explode.
Like, what are you doing? You're giving him your power. I know.
I don't know. Do you think they're going to go that direction?
Yeah. I don't think so. I think that's a little too. It's a little too simple, but it's always a variation of that theme, maybe.
Because here's something. it's the things that are that have been thrown at us in the previews and in betweens and stuff.
Right. I haven't seen the next preview either, so I have to check
But
that
there's ones that have been there from the very get-go,
Right.
and it's Vision saying there are some unsavory characters in this neighborhood, and her saying this is our home, and him saying then let's fight for it. So somehow, well, no. Somehow Hayworth has to be the one they're fighting against. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how is Agatha going to get out of this to still remain a threat?
Right.
Because she's in a position right now where it's do or die.
Right.
She has her children. It's not, she can be like, just kidding. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, she could just be like, you know, oops, bye. And she could, but
cackle and fly off. There's gonna be a cackle. There's gonna be another cackle out of that one.
Oh yeah, come on. She's so good at it.
So good.
She's so good at it. And then we had the threat of White Vision.
Exactly, that has to come into play. And what is your assumption here when it comes to the visions?
Oh, my assumption is that, well, that Wanda will merge them back together.
Correct. That's what I think. So
she will merge his psyche and into you know him into her, but
our Vision might do it on its own.
Right. Yeah. Gets in there and since
I don't think they're staying together.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that doesn't fulfill, well, I mean,
because this isn't the same Vision.
Not the same Vision. But
when this Vision, when White Vision mixes with television Vision, it won't be the Vision we knew.
Right. But right now, like the current Vision, as opposed to the Vision, who is the weapon, the Vision, right. Vision, is still attached to Wanda. I mean, when he was, they're sitting in the car in the stupid truck, and he's doing the little side interview thing, and he's like, "What am I doing?" It's like, "I got to leave here," and he's like, "I have to go to my wife." He's still thinking in terms of like that attachment.
By the way, isn't that guy supposed to be fast?
Which guy?
Vision.
Yeah.
How much time has just passed?
Oh yeah.
Vision
we don't know where
the
meanwhile is. Yeah, the meanwhile. Yeah.
Same with I'm just gonna call her Spectrum because that's probably it. We should take bets on that. The hell, man, she's right there.
Well, she must have gotten, hexed. You just have to assume she got hexed because she had some purple in her eyes. You had assumed.
I did hear an interesting theory about that, the purple eyes.
That's just how she's seeing the power.
That she can actually see the power.
That was my first impression, but I'm just trying to think, okay, we haven't seen her yet. And that was obviously Agatha mind controlling whatever the, theatro, puppet person. So maybe she was nearby and, hexed her.
Well, and he, at this point, her power is she doesn't know how to use them. So I can see that he can overpower her. That is
right.
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. But she's not going to be easy to mind control anymore. It's just not, she made it through the hex without and keeping her psyche.
Yeah.
And she was inside the hex and broke, and broke free to a certain degree. So it's I think it's kind of sad that almost everyone fell into the hex because of the state of the town. Everyone was kind of depressed and weak because the economy sucks and they had lost who knows how many people to the snap and all sorts. Town was doing terrible. So she comes in, does her hex, and easily takes over everybody. But then you have somebody come in from the outside like Monica, who's a headstrong person. She gets taken over first, but then she starts to break it. And now she's completely, autonomous. She comes in, she walks through that thing, and it's going to take something a little bit more powerful to to knock her out in terms
to shut
of
her down.
mind control.
You think we're going to see? I mean, not full power, because, and this is something I do like about the MCU, is that they will give people, they will power people, but then they will let them grow.
Right.
Right. So like Thor is a great example.
Right.
Of that. So I think we'll be able to see her more powerful later, but she's definitely going to be able to utilize some power.
Right.
Next episode.
She's obviously a little bit, she's stronger than human now. Now, Captain Marvel, Spectrum, Photon, her original Captain Marvel name, she was never like a super powerful person in terms of like physical. She's just like tougher than most. She's not like Captain America tough, but obviously, you drop her from 20 feet in the air, she does her little superhero landing, and she's fine.
And her power, you could see, was radiating and assisting.
Right. Yeah.
She's not one of those people that is like powered, physically powered, as a power, but their power can augment.
Not musculature. Yeah, she's not powered by her muscles or whatever. Like her skin is not impenetrable, but if she turns it into light, then it will just go. Things will go right through her. If she makes herself into energy. So don't know how far they're going to go with that type of thing. At least initially,
she'll shoot something out of her hands, right?
Yeah, or something.
I want that.
But
she's one of my favorite things to have come out of this.
Yeah. What's funny? Was there, before going on anything else? You said there was something you wanted to?
Yes, there is a big one.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we've always wondered who is the last guest star, the one that Bettany is really has really always wanted to work with. And so we say, well, Cumberbatch, because this is supposed to tie in. And then beforehand we thought it was Loki, because this is supposed to tie in.
Right.
We know that Falcon and Winter Soldier takes place in a totally different timeline by
I think it's actually
months.
It's somewhere around that. Yeah, what's in weeks or months? Yeah.
So that isn't a thing. But then when you think of so there's a theory that it could be the first Spider-Man guy. I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Tobey Maguire,
right? Because that would kind of make sense, right? There's a little bit of a kind of makes sense about that because we also know that this is going to tie in perfectly with, or not perfectly, this is going to tie in with the new Spider-Man, which we know is a multiverse situation. But then, so a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be that. And then there's the thought that my roommate and I were having. I was like, yes, Tobey Maguire is a respected actor, but he's not somebody that people look forward to working with.
I'm going to follow up with my theory.
Yes, it's nobody.
Which no, I have my own theory. It's not going to happen, but this is my theory. But go ahead, finish yours up.
Okay. Well, when you think of respected actors and you think of multiverse, you got to throw in Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, that's
at least from another place, and never because and then it was strengthened by me going through this Comics Explained to watch what's going on with or to find out what's going on in the House of M storyline and following, and that the House of M is triggered by him, that he is telling her, she's making these little changes and he's saying, stop, you can't do this. And I was like, but then who's her father, who also steps in at some point? So that means that Ian McKellen might be the guy. Now, can you think of two people that Bettany would look forward to working with? Maybe it's both of them.
Yeah. I could. I don't know.
They don't want to be in the roles anymore.
I don't see them wanting to be in the roles anymore.
But Mark Hamill didn't want to be in the role anymore either.
Yeah.
So he said, "Yeah, great, because it can be shot in a couple hours and done."
Great.
All right, what's yours? Because those aren't my theories. They're just saying what people are.
So this is my. It's not going to happen because it would be. I think it would probably. cause more backlash and more trouble than it's worth. So this is how this literally woke me up last week. It was there was the episode 7, watched it, let it percolate in my brain. And then the next day, after thinking about it, I literally was laying in bed, just 5 minutes before my alarm goes off, like always. Mm-hmm. And then my brain started just thinking about the show, and then it went click. Oh my God. And then I was up, I was awake. And I told myself, nah, it's not going to happen. But I was already awake. I was already kind of hyped. So this is what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. They, in the previous episode, when they revealed Agatha Harkness, they went down into the room, and there were the runes on the wall, and there was the book that was glowing. Remember, there was a book. And I, at the time on when we were watching it, I said, is that the Darkhold?
Right. But it looks different, but that doesn't.
It looks, but yeah, everyone's they can decide to interpret it a little differently. And the Darkhold was already used on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, it was.
God, already used on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, so I went back and looked. I'm like, what happened to the Darkhold Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's like, oh, well, Ghost Rider took it. He went through a portal and hid it somewhere because he was going to take care of it. Okay, all right. So, but I'm like, so that kind of takes the Darkhold out of the picture. If that was a Darkhold, it doesn't have to be a Darkhold, but I'm like, if that was Darkhold, that kind of messes. That kind of it doesn't really work as a Darkhold.
You'd have to do so many things to get it out,
unless they decided to sever Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the MCU and just let it be standalone, and that is the Darkhold. And the guy in witness protection is Agent Coulson. That was like, and he ends up being Agent Goddamn Coulson.
I'd love it. I'd love that. Like, I'd love to see him again in that.
Yeah.
And
because he didn't die, and they hid him there, and all that would erase Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I think would be a crime, because great stuff was done in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that kind of stuff. But that woke me up. I was like, oh, what if it's Coulson?
I don't know what the current happenings are with the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season, but couldn't it just be that he's just worked in and not?
Well, there was just some. I mean, it doesn't
have to be the Darkhold.
They went to other universes and other stuff. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Darkhold and all that kind of stuff.
But it could be the Darkhold that somehow. That somehow
the Darkhold was this kind of Nexus thing too. It was like this thing that split you, allowed you to go. It was.
Well, so what? Then it could be another universe's one. It could belong to another universe. That's why it looks different. But it could be that that Agatha found it somehow, and Coulson is pursuing it.
Right. Yeah, it's all sorts of weird stuff.
But then that would make him more of a star. And in the MCU.
Right.
See, he's not that big.
And none of these characters never worked with Coulson. Right. He was dead before.
But that would be funny.
Yeah, but that was a thing for me. I was like,
how funny would it be if he's been in the background this whole time?
Nerdiness is hilarious. Nerdiness is hilarious because that, like I said, that woke me up.
All right, so what do you think about Professor X and Magneto and/or?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm sticking.
Is it one of those things where you kind of hope it doesn't happen? Like in some of the new Star Wars stuff, you're just like, let's let go.
Yeah.
Of the Skywalker line.
For me, that's just I'm kind of just let it go. Yeah.
But the new Professor X, he would want to be in those,
right? Oh, he would, but I think they're gonna want to. Again, you don't do Professor. You don't do X-Men like that. I just don't see it happening. And but hey, I don't. Also, I'm not making predictions on these things. Not anymore. Not real ones.
So who else could it be? And using this guideline,
like I said, I'm just straight. But
just
Cumberbatch.
For play,
yeah,
you just straight Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Cumberbatch.
Yeah. But I'm almost thinking when I'm at all considering Professor X or Magneto,
mm-hmm.
I'm also including Cumberbatch.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because he's
I
kind
think
of more of
that's
a
just
given.
going to happen.
Right.
And we're totally wrong about
but
that.
when it comes to if Bettany's being realistic and not just being hyperbolic, if he's actually saying it's somebody I really wanted to work with my entire life, I've always wanted to work with this person, and that's a genuine claim, then you have to look at somebody like Stewart or McKellen, just given Bettany's background and and all that. It's like they're icons of that nature beyond genre stuff. It's they've been around theater and just classic stuff. They've just been around for a long time. That doesn't work with Cumberbatch unless you're just being hyperbolic. Just like I've always wanted to work with him.
Always wanted to work with him.
But it's like no, because he's only had a career for like 15 years or so. And your career isn't even that long. But always wanted to work with somebody is like, when I was a young actor just thinking about acting, I wanted to work with this person.
Okay.
Then
we know who it is.
That's what I've always wanted to work with this person my entire life means. Or
we know if he's
being actual and not just hyperbolic, because hey, he is in the job of hyping the show too. So
absolutely. So I figured out who it is, and 100% know who it is.
Okay.
Will Shatner. There you go. I'm so glad that I got that when you were drinking.
Yeah.
If you didn't have machines around you, that would have been a perfect
exactly.
take.
I would. Yeah. I can't.
And if you listen closely, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear it. He does a spit take just into his his water bottle.
Yeah.
No.
Shatner. That's hilarious.
As somebody, and then there's
episode,
also another one that I thought was funny, and it came on earlier. It was mentioned earlier with Nightmare or something like that. That Mark Hamill, or where did this thing come from? Where it was going to be, who was going to play Mephisto?
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, Mark Hamill because of his voiceover work.
Right.
So we could speculate forever. We're all over the place now.
Yeah.
But have you ever watched this is Canadian Lad? He's a guy that always says, I watched such and such at 0.25 speed and was amazed at what I saw. Like he always has these headlines of like he watched something at a quarter speed.
Yeah,
all these things, right?
So I have seen this,
and I've only watched a couple, and I saw one the other day. And usually they're not worth it. And this one, what I find hilarious is that I watched this one, and there was not a single thing that he mentioned that could not be noticed at full speed. Just watch the show. Just watch the show. It's like, and I noticed that he was looking over at Pietro was watching, Tommy as he spoke or whatever. I'm like, yeah, you can just see it. You don't have to be slow motion to see that.
That actually happened.
There was the entire thing. I think on other shows, other things like some of the more dynamic, big budget sci-fi epic movies, that makes more sense to say, I watched it in a quarter speed and this is what I saw. But this show, you don't need to watch things at a quarter speed. So it was just hilarious. But there was one shot, and I think I'll send you a file for this and then we'll maybe show it on screen. There was one shot where he said, I watched this at a quarter speed and this is really awesome. And this is what I saw. It was a shot where Monica is going back through the hex.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's splitting up.
And he's talking about how this is her being seen, the different times she's gone through. Mm-hmm. And he says, as you can see here, there's her right now as she's going through. And then there's her as she was when she first came through. And then here's her, what she their costume that she came through that first time. So you have her, what she was wearing when she was just like a shield agent. I mean, a sword agent. And then they have her when she turned into the 60s person or whatever.
Right.
And her in a regular outfit. And he just talked about how this is, showing her growth and how she's done this and that. And then I saw this and I go, this is the one time when there is something that you can see at a quarter speed that you may not have noticed before, and you missed it. What we see there is to the farthest left is her that she looked like when she came through and turned into a person in the
Geraldine
50s or whatever. Geraldine, right. And then the second one is her as she was as a sword agent when she went through.
When she first went through.
And then the third one is her in her like, hazmat suit that she made to go through this last time.
And is currently going through in that.
Currently going through in. But this last one, she's in a lab coat of some type.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been warped to look like her original Captain Marvel outfit.
Oh.
And if you look at her original Captain Marvel outfit, which I will send you a link to.
With the drapey sleeves stuff. There's one sleeve that doesn't have it, but
yeah. But yeah, it was warping back and forth. The lab coat has been cut. It's got a little wedge to have a little look of like the little short pants, and then she's got the black leggings, and her hair isn't quite, it's like almost, it's warping into like a shorter fro.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm gonna try to hold them next to each other.
Yeah.
And did he do this one, or did you find this one?
No, this is me looking at it. I'm going, and I was like, you didn't notice you didn't notice the Captain Marvel costume there. Come on.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't notice either. But when I watched him watch it at 1/4 speed, I noticed it.
Though that's funny. So you were actually watching what he did.
Yeah, and going, you're missing something at 1/4 speed.
Did you message him or?
No, I didn't message him. I don't care about the fool. I'll talk about it here on my own show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was a great touch. I'm like, yeah, that's the original Captain Marvel outfit. And then she comes through in the outfit that's more Spectrum, like, it's got the whatever she's wearing underneath this kind of sword hazmat outfit. She takes it off and she's wearing something that's more like closer to her.
There's something else too that if you kind of look at it, that last one, the photo 2. The image on the right is that the light cast on her face almost looks like her mask too.
Yeah, it's got the little ridge on her. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. I'm like, cool, good for you guys. Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever was that Canadian lad or whatever, I'm like, yeah, you're blind. Come on, man. You didn't notice something that was actually really cool. And I was just,
why is she in a lab coat?
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm trying to remember why she might have been in a lab coat. If you look at the first image that I gave you, it's another from another shot, and yes, she's definitely like in a lab coat, but I can't remember us seeing her in a lab coat unless it's just like reflecting her growth, what she'd done before becoming, become a sword agent, or things, her hanging out at the hospital with her folks, or being a scientist at Sword, or something in the future that's going to happen. But it's definitely, you can see from that first shot I gave you, that's definitely like a lab coat and regular pants, which is a great excuse to have that thing kind of turn into the swoopy thing. Yeah.
And that first image, what's happening on the left side is just a weird looking thing. I can't tell what it is.
Yeah, it's like somebody reaching through to pull her through or something.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's almost like it
looks like Phantom Limb.
Well, it's kind of like, it's almost like the person in the back, the last person in the lab coat, is warped around to the front and is pulling her through. It's like that swoopy white and the pants.
Yeah. So interesting.
So
God, I can't wait till the next episode.
Yeah. So maybe, maybe it is. Maybe that's her in the future. And that's just kind of alluding to some scene that we'll see in the Captain Marvel 2 or something like that. Yeah. So yeah. Geeky stuff, nerdy stuff.
Heck yeah.
So next episode, we're gonna have to do this one. Gonna have to do it live. We'll just
at midnight.
Go on at midnight or whatever. Yeah.
Actual live or pre-recorded?
I'm assuming pre-recorded. I mean, we could probably do a live stream of it, but then we'd have to be funky with our, the syncing up with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do it at midnight our time, when everyone else is, because it's gonna a lot of people are gonna be up. I have to tell work, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be up late. I'll probably be late for work the next day because WandaVision. Well, hey, hell, I took Black Panther premiere off for work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember them ask that you actually just put it straight up.
Well, because when you have to ask for paid time off, you're like, okay, what do you want to take? I want to take this date, and it's like a reason. They just want a general reason. You can just say because I deserve a vacation. You can just put whatever you want in there,
right?
Which actually I've done before. I was like, I've maxed out my PTO. If I don't take these days, I'll lose it. So I'm taking a day. I've literally put that there,
right?
But yeah, I said, Black Panther premiere. It's basically a black holiday.
Black holiday.
Yeah. If you don't give me the vacation day, I'm gonna not show up anyway.
Do you know anybody in HR and where they're just like, Cherry?
Well, no, yeah, my boss just laughed. He's like, approved. Ha 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 ha. Because he's like, yeah, I'm just not gonna show up. Come on, it's Black Panther coming out. Come on, son. I gotta go stand in line. Come on.
Yeah. I'm eating some chocolate. I need some chocolate.
Oh, standing in line. At me. Oh man, standing in line for movies and when's that going to happen again?
Thanks for watching this snippet.
If you're interested in listening to the full conversation in one continuous spot, you can check out the entire podcast on Spotify or any other podcast delivery service you might have. All availability will be shown in the description.
And make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to be bugged by us for the rest of time, click that little bell.
Thanks, everybody.